When reading the Quran, you will notice that this letter combination is very common and that it also has 3 variations. This lesson is meant to help you understand the differences between these 3 combinations and, most importantly, how to pronounce them properly when you come across them in the Quran. And before we get started, you need to make sure that you have a grasp of what the differences are between Alif and Hamza. So if you're still confused about the difference between the two, make sure to check out this lesson first before you continue here. I will leave its link in the description. So let's get started with the easiest and the most obvious of the 3. We get this shape when Lam is followed by an Alif, and that's why we call it Lam Alif. In this combination, the Lam will always have Fatha on top of it, since it is followed by a long vowel Alif. The important thing to remember with this combination is that the Alif will always be in a position of med, either the mandatory natural med, or in Arabic, med tabi'i of 2 counts, or the optional disconnected med of 4 harakat, when it is followed by a Hamza, like in these examples. فَلَا وَرَبِّكَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ حَتَّى يُحَكِّمُوكَ فِيمَا شَجَرَ بَيْنَهُمْ ثُمَّ لا يجدوا في أنفسهم حرجا مما قضيت ويسلموا تسليما. And this is what it looks and sounds like when the Lam Alif is followed by a Hamza. There will be a disconnected med of 4 counts, which you may or may not extend, like in this example. قال رب إني لا أملك إلا نفسي وأخي. Moving on to the second combination, which happens when Lam is followed by a Hamza. It is very important to know that this combination does not contain any med whatsoever. It is a combination of 2 consonants, which could naturally receive normal short vowels or tashkil. This combination is very common when adding a defining article, al, to a word that already starts with a Hamza. So a word like anfal becomes al-anfal. So there is no natural med or any other type of extension in this part of the combination. And in context, it sounds like this. مثل الفريقين كالأعمى والأصم والبصير والسميع. But it also occurs much less commonly without the definite article, al. So just by adding a lam to a word that already starts with a Hamza. So from asma'ahum to la asma'ahum. And in context, it looks and sounds like this. إن إبراهيم لأواه حليم إنك لأنت الحليم الرشيد. And in this coming example, we also see that the lam doesn't only get fatha like the previous combination. It can also get kasra. وَمَا نُؤَخِّرُهُ إِلَّا لِأَجَلٍ مَعْدُودٍ. So the takeaway here is to remember that this combination looks exactly like this and has no med or extension whatsoever. It is very important to keep this in mind for the next combination. Finally, this combination is kind of a mixture of the first two combinations, since it has both Hamza and Alif in it. First of all, notice that it looks slightly different from the previous one. Notice the placement of the Hamza. It is kinda between the Lam and the Alif, so it is not directly on top of the Alif, while in the other one, the Hamza is directly on top of the Alif. So this means that this combination isn't just two letters combined, but actually three. This is actually the only combination in the Quran that combines three letters into one shape, and this is exactly how you should remember to pronounce it. You pronounce Lam, then Hamza, then an Alif with a natural mad of 2 counts. So there is a mad here. So we say Al-Akhirah, Al-Akhirah. لهم في الدنيا خزي ولهم في الآخرة عذاب عظيم. And we also say الآيات, الآيات. قد بينا الآيات لقوم يوقنون. So why do we have to pronounce it like that? Well, let's take this word and break it down to understand more what is going on. Let's first see what happens when we remove the definite article al at the beginning of the word. We directly see that the word actually starts with a Hamza followed by an Alif. And on a side note, this here at the beginning of the word is called Mad al-Badal, or in English, replacement mad. If you want to learn more information about it and how to deal with it perfectly, you can check out this lesson. So the word originally starts with a Hamza and then an Alif, which would then be extended for 2 counts because it is a long vowel. And that's why you must keep this mad intact with this combination. So we say here, آيات. تلك آيات الكتاب المبين. And that's why if you're going to add a definite article at the beginning of this word, this mad should remain the same. قد بينا الآيات لقوم يوقنون. So saying al-ayat is wrong, because then you would be dropping a mandatory med. So remember that here there is a med of 2 counts. Again, we say al-ayat and not al-ayat, because then you would be dropping an entire letter from the word. So when lam comes before mad al-iwad at the beginning of the word, it will always take this shape, and you will always have to pronounce 3 letters: the lam, the hamza, and the extended alif. So why can't we just write it like that? Well, for one, it might look confusing with all the alifs, hamzas, and lams that follow one another. Plus, this is how the Quran was written, and we must keep this intact, so we shouldn't just write the Quran as we like. And to make sure that you understand the difference completely, let's try to read this ayah. I will give you a chance to pause the video and read it for yourself first, and afterwards compare it to my recitation. وَلَأُضِلَّنَّهُمْ وَلَأُمَنِّيَنَّهُمْ وَلَآمُرَنَّهُمْ فَلَيُبَتِّكُنَّ آذَانَ الْأَنْعَامِ لَآتِكُنَّ آذَانَ الْأَنْعَامِ وَلَآمُرَنَّهُمْ فَلَيُغَيِّرُنَّ خَلْقَ اللَّهِ. So, did you get it right? So, in a nutshell, these three-letter combinations are very similar, but not identical. The first one is Lam followed by Alif, and it ends with a med tabi'i that has to be extended for at least 2 counts, and at the most for 4 counts. The second one is Lam followed by Hamza, so it has no med whatsoever. And the third one is a combination of 3 letters. The first is Lam, the second is Hamza, and finally there is an Alif that has to be extended for 2 counts because it is a natural med. Thanks for watching. If you want to start your journey to learn the tajweed of the Quran, you can click on this link. And if you want to understand the Quran in Arabic, then you should click on that link. And finally, I hope you've learned something new today, and I will see you next time.